Alrighty. So much like I asked Cheryl, what would be the most useful thing to walk through for you right now?
Gosh, I don't know. Well, let me kind of explain what I need to have done. So we changed the structure of our business last year, and this year we're trying to get what we call set your house in order, or even our business, our whole house, everything. And the reason why I want to get this done is because I have to go on a trip to Vietnam with my husband, and we want things in order for my kids while we're gone. But set our house in order is like, where are the wills? That's the whole part we have to get done is the will. Where is the logins for our business? Where are, our insurance policies? Where are all of this stuff? So what I call it is house set in order. Where do I start? Or, and put it in a chunk where I can get it done I have to have it done before April and then get it to the lawyer.
Okay. So that makes for a really good theme, by the way. Get your house in order. That's a perfect sort of theme. So thanks for that. And have you developed a list of things that need to get done for you to consider that done?
I have not. I've got, oh gosh, I thought stuff about, setting up something for my kids with all of like our life insurance and how they can access it, who they need to contact, blah, 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 blah. And then I thought, well, I can also put, we only have a few debts left. So where are our debts at? I'd really like to have a house inventory because, with all the disasters that have been happening, I see where people have to go in. I'll give you California, for example. All those people that lost their homes, well, when they have to go and prove that they live there and everything, well, everything was in the fire. So what I thought is I would set up a Google sheet, give my kids all access to it, and then at least if some big catastrophe ever happened, it would be out there for even us to access if like the tornado came or, how these people have floods and everything, we can access it offline and grab that information as well.
Yeah, absolutely. A password protected offline thing or a Google Doc thing can go a long way.
Correct.
And remember that you can have a folder where the different, like you can think of the hierarchy where this is everything related to taxes, this is everything related to wills, this is everything related to insurance, so on and so forth, right? And you can have all of those in one folder, which might be your, home preparation kit or whatever you call that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And all of that goes in there. And so I would say that is one of the first things that you want to consider is create cloud storage system for docs. And just talking to me, you mentioned, I call it a cleanup list. You could call it something else, but, you mentioned debt, insurance. I put on passwords because I know I have experience with that. Financials, wills, cloud storage is what I put there above. And so part of that is just go through this process with your husband and your kids. And I would say schedule a family planning meeting.
Okay.
Where you say, hey, what are all the things you might want to know? What are all the things we need to get? And if you get your kids to buy into it, by the way, they're much more likely to use it. And it's not just one of those random things that, you get from your parents like, oh, I saved this for you. You're like, what is this? I don't understand.
Well, one of the things is my kids, I kind of mentioned this to them and they're like freaking out. Well, you act like you're going to die or something. And it's like, no, that's not it.
Yeah.
We own several businesses. We want to make sure that you guys know how to access everything. We're taking a long trip to Vietnam and
yeah. So Alexis Neely has, and this is an acronym I've stolen from her. She's got a whole program around this, but she calls it LIFT. Legal, insurance, finances, and taxes of creating your own LIFT folder.
Okay.
And so check out our program. But if you just want to steal the acronym, you can think of what are the legal documents, what are the insurance documents, what are the financial documents, what are the tax documents. I've added passwords on there because I've experienced with a client in the past where We just didn't have the passwords that we needed for a lot of different things once something happened. And so add that to the list of like, how do you log into things? What's your PayPal account? Who's on your business account, your business bank account, by the way? That's a huge deal. Huge pain in the butt if someone besides you and your husband are not on the business bank account, and were something to happen in Vietnam, it can be really challenging. Articles of organization, operating agreements, all of those things need to go into that legal folder, so that people can get it. And so really it's, on the theme, get your business house in order. You'll notice everyone's still on the phone on the line with me. Notice that I'm always going to ask people, have you developed a strategy or have you developed a list? And I just know, because when you look at the universal structure of projects, it's always figure out what you're trying to do, right? And they just look in different ways. And so we definitely see that one of the first things is figure out what you're trying to do. But in this case, I would say creating the storage system for your docs. That's an easy win that you can do while you're figuring it out else. And you could just start pulling things into that folder and start organizing it later.
Gotcha.
Okay. And so your first big project is going to be to develop this punch list.
Okay.
And that might be something you do by, I don't know, mid-February.
Gotcha.
And then once you have that, you'll know like how long is it going to take you to come up with a debt spreadsheet or debt plan. In my experience, that's about a month.
Okay.
And insurance documents, depending upon where those are, like you can sort of assess where your current state is versus where it needs to be. And it might be much like when I was talking to Cheryl Ann, it might be one of those Humpty Dumpty things where like you realize, wait a second, our life insurance policy isn't in place, or it's not adequate, or our home insurance policy isn't in place, or it's not adequate. And then you got to go do some additional actions.
Gotcha.
But then I wish I could be more helpful, but without knowing what's fully on the list, it's hard to figure out how long it's going to take to do.
Okay.
But once you do that, you'll be able to, basically what I want you to think, Tina, is, okay, is this a month size thing for me to complete? Or is this more like a week size thing for me to complete?
Gotcha.
And then you can batch some of the week size things together, because you might be like, you know what, my financial stuff, each of these little projects are like a week size project. So I'm going to take a month of, let's say, March, and March is February, and March is financial month. And you're going to go through and you get all of those things done in that bucket, and then you can be done.
Gotcha.
Right. And you might be like, okay, my insurance thing, that's going to take me a quarter. I need to chunk that down. I need to, like, a month is going to be for house insurance. A month is going to be for life insurance. And, a month is going to be for medical insurance. And you can kind of overlay it in that way.
Gotcha. Yeah, and it's not so much that, but we do have to have this for our business, just because now that we added our third business, now it's time to, okay, even my kids are involved in it, but not as much as where they need to be. They're adults, and we want to start that transition, getting them more involved. Like, we have one doing payroll now, we have one doing, bids, but we want them where, like, now we'll be able to leave and at least the business is still running because they're able to do enough in it. But it would be nice to have everything say, okay, here's all the passwords, here's, like you said, all of the tax information, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. So something that I found to be a good framework for thinking about this is getting it set up as if you were to sell all three of your businesses. What would a new owner need to know to take it over from day one?
Okay.
And think about it from that perspective, because in generational succession, a lot of times I've learned that parents think kids either know more than they know, or that they can intuit from one thing that they're doing to all the things.
Yes.
And so there tends to be really piecemeal plans and strategies and things like that. But when you think about if some new owner were buying these businesses and had to operate it from day one, what would I need to create for that? That becomes really valuable, because if one of your kids become the full owners, that's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
But they may also decide to sell it.
Yeah.
Right. And then you've already done that work for them. So either way, you guys win.
Yeah, well, I was thinking of going through like a lean strategy. I don't know if you've heard of this, lean. So I thought maybe that would be a strategy I was going to put in place where, this, and that. That was the strategy I was looking at for all of this.
Okay, so you're thinking about using like a lean canvas, using lean canvas to show people what's going on, or?
Yeah, like the lean to, let this make it as simple as possible for them with passwords and step-by-step
Absolutely.
booklet.
Yeah. So that's what I would say on that one. I had a quick question. What's the F in lift again? It's financial. And so, Tina, I don't know if this is necessarily helpful on how this gets to the planner, but I think you're still at the brainstorming phase.
Okay.
And so, but I can, just knowing in my head, I can't help but start to start sequencing projects based upon what size they are.
Gotcha.
And so your next step is really to come up with this punch list of what you need to create by April.
Perfect.
And then for each one of those, you might need to chunk down. What are my debt documents? What are those types of things? And then after you do a third pass on that, it's going to be, how long do I think it's going to take to get this one done?
Okay.
And I just want you to think, is this a week-sized project or is this a month-sized project?
Okay.
Don't worry about hours, because hours tends to lead us astray in a bad way.
Okay, perfect. No, this helps. I like the list, because then I can chunk them into, how long the debt part wouldn't be that long because I've already got that organized, but where is it? And then put it in a list for them and let them know, it's the blue folder, it's the brown folder. Okay, got it.
All right, you're on track, Tina. Thanks for the question. All righty. I could hang out with you guys for much longer. And I've also learned that after about 90 minutes to 2 hours on a virtual sort of thing, we got to go. So I hope walking through some of these projects, Cheryl's project and Tina's project show two different ways in which people can get stuck. So sometimes we're in the brainstorming phase and we're trying to go into the planning stage, and that's not super helpful, right? So if you know that you're in the brainstorming phase, use something like this, use a piece of paper, get them all in there, so on and so forth. That's your first step. If you're in the planning phase, like Cheryl is, she knows what she needs to do. She knows that that's where the planners come in, and you can start thinking about how you're going to chunk them down. I had a few questions. Yes, the recording is going to be available. If the deck is available, we can make that available too. We love questions. Your questions help us make the product better, and also makes it fun for us. And so if there's something that you wanted to get out of this that you did not, please do shoot us an email. Support's probably the best for that. So support@productiveflourishing.com. But if you can't remember support, Charlie also works. What I want to say here, and I always want to end, especially the Momentum Planners webinar, not everything that are on the planners will work for you, right? Do what works for you and take it in bite-sized pieces. If you have no use for the daily momentum planner, don't use it. Use what works for you. If you like to hack and have, if you like to use the bullet journal and this, do something that works for you. But what I do encourage you to do is to be curious and experiment with some things, because these are like jeans that you buy from the store. They look great on the rack. And then you put them on at the store and they feel okay, but then you take them home and you realize they're rubbing in all the wrong places. Well, it's not you or it's not the jeans. It's just that it doesn't necessarily fit you yet, right? And so I encourage you to lean into the fit. And also, this interweaving project stuff, it's hard. It just is. And I wish I could make it. I've done the best I can at this level of my development to make it as easy as possible. It's just hard stuff. And so if you find it hard, it's not that you're uniquely defective, right? It's not that it should be some simple answer. It's just hard stuff to do. And once you learn to master this, guys, you can do anything. I promise you. You can do way more than you think you can once you master sort of this interweaving, constraints, chunking things down. It's been fun talking to you guys. Take it easy. And until next time, stand tall.